All right. Why you're afraid of what you want? Welcome, guys. This is Leo. Welcome to this channel. Yeah, excited to have you. Today we're going to be talking about why it is that you are afraid of the very thing that you want. Right? It's a bit of a paradoxical, counterintuitive thing. You would think that the thing that you want is just the thing you're excited and driven to do. And it therefore comes easy. But what I have experienced is that it's maybe not always that way. And this video is for everybody who's feeling the same way about it or is facing similar challenges in his or her life at the moment when it comes to making a certain dream a reality. So let me just start off with some background on how this has shown up in my life. So I'm currently 27 years old. I am based in Munich, Germany, and I'm building my dream business together with my sister. So over the last 6 years, I was deeply obsessed with personal development, personal growth, philosophy, spirituality, psychology, everything that revolves around how to live the best life possible. And what I was noticing back then is that I, for the one hand, was really into and deeply passionate about these inner growth practices. But then on the other hand, I was also really drawn to applying them in the real physical world for society to change society for the better. Because I was noticing the tremendous benefits that it had on myself, and I couldn't really believe that there was no one else doing meditation, journaling, talking about deeper, more profound, meaningful topics that govern and direct and control our day-to-day experience. So, and this is kind of the shift that I wanted to bring about, right? Applying these individual growth practices for the collective. So the dream business that I'm building with my sister is a so-called social wellness club. Initially, I had the idea when I was in a breathwork session in Bali. I had the vision of bringing breathwork and these healing centers and places for community and belonging and holistic growth and well-being to Germany. I was in this profound state of love, of acceptance, of gratitude, of reverence, and of awe in this breathwork session for myself and for life. And I was seeing so clearly how this is something that has to exist in Germany. At the time, I was going away from Germany to Bali to, connect with these people that I thought would be there. And it was a bit of a, sad thing, you could say, to go back to Germany afterwards and not see that be in place. And there are some conscious communities, but the actual ecosystem or the physical infrastructure to hold spaces or to hold space for such happenings and events doesn't really exist yet in or to the extent that it's needed or to the extent that individuals as well as the collective want and need. So Social Wellness Club, essentially, it's not only a breathwork studio, it also has gym, contrast therapy, meditation, journaling practices, a social area with a rooftop area, an organic health bar, and a studio for yoga, pilates, and strength classes. So essentially a holistic health hub, you could say, the gym 2.0 that doesn't only focus on mental and also on physical health, but also mental, emotional, and social well-being. So that's great, right? I found my purpose. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I want to do. I was really looking and diving deep and digging into what is my true purpose. What do I actually want to do? Because I felt that not having a North Star, it's so difficult for me personally to actually live a fulfilling and good life because I wouldn't really know what to focus my energy towards, right? If I don't know where I'm going, right? If you're not going, if in your TomTom or in your Google Maps, if you're not typing in, let's say Berlin, right? Um, no turn you're taking, no route you're choosing is actually going to be good, right? Because there's no context. Um, if you have put in nothing, neither or every route will get you to nowhere. But if you put in Berlin, only certain roads are going to get you there. So it's really important in order to know what to do in your day-to-day life, to have clarity around the way you want to go. Otherwise, how could you possibly know what direction and what decision to make would be the right one, right? So whenever you do know your purpose, you can simply say, does this serve the purpose? Does this serve the vision? Does this serve where I'm heading to or not? And it's the most simple framework of going about things. It's knowing what you want. And then I knew that, yeah, like it's what I want or what I want to do is should revolve around personal growth, philosophy and spirituality, and some sort of collective impact. But then I didn't really know what specifically that would look like. And now with the social wellness club, I have a very concrete thing to work towards. So that's all good. So knowing the purpose alone is one of the core things that has to be in place in order to move toward your dream, right? But even that, you can go on a side tangent here and say, when it comes to realizing my dream, how important is clarity on that thing, or right, because you can get to that point of creating your dream by really diving deep into yourself and figuring out what that dream is, or by just taking action, doing something, doing whatever just seems the most aligned or reasonable at the moment. And then through the action, you're also getting clarity, right? So there's clarity through introspection, reflection, and there's clarity through action itself. I've really been taking more of the introspective route, but I do see great value in taking the action route also, as it's way more embodied, way more applied and grounded in real life. And in a sense, I think you're getting more nuance with it also. You're better able to have, like, to really understand it physically, on a physical level, what it is that you want and don't want. Plus, you're also learning stuff directly and you're actually progressing. You're making some stuff happen instead of just being at home and journaling and thinking about things. But anyways, this is kind of already leading me to the core issue that I was facing. So I have been doing lots of journaling, lots of reflection, lots of contemplation and thinking about what it is that I want to do and then how to do it. But the execution, the action part has therefore been lacking a bit. And you could then also say that the contemplation, the thinking part has been a bit of a productive procrastination, so to say. Because what I find is the actual intention with anything we do, with when it comes to personal growth or spirituality or even, let's say, business, or me even talking about this, right? So the fear of you living or doing what you want to do. The core intention we're actually striving towards is not some insight, not some aha moment. It's actually a behavior change. So this is what has been lacking with me in the past. I was doing lots of contemplation, but the action part was lacking. And this is the core. This is the core thing that would actually result in anything, right? It's taking action. And this is what I have been struggling with. It is taking action. So that's kind of like the issue, right? That's kind of like the problem. I know what I want to do, and I have all the clarity in the world on it, or I have definitely enough clarity on what to do. but then for some reason there's still something blocking me from it. And that's the core thing, right? You know what you want, but for some reason you're still afraid of it. And that's the core paradox that I wanted to speak about today. So the way that this showed up in my life is that my sister and I were announcing that we're going to do this. We started working on this in January 2025 already. We hosted about 30 breathwork, sound bath, and meditation sessions for over 250 people, and got tremendous feedback. It was purely magical every single event. And now we shifted our attention to actually building the space. We did do some site visiting, property visiting. We did speak to investors. We did develop our business plan, our financial model, our pitch deck. Spoken to developers, created some more content around it. But then for some reason, we hit a bit of a ceiling or a bit of a block, bit of a wall. So we didn't really know how to proceed. Whether we should now try to fundraise the entire amount that we needed for the space, or go a bit slower, step by step, or just like raise a pre-seed amount first, and then work with that, and then build up more traction, or to fund the entire round. And I think that every single outer confusion you face, right, in business is sort of a reflection of the inner clarity, or of the lack of inner clarity that you're experiencing. So in my case, not knowing whether to do a pre-seed or to do a seed round directly had something to do with myself, right? I didn't really, I wasn't really clear within myself. And what sort of happens the last weeks, or the weeks after that confusion, is that there was tremendous fear and blockages and resistances around doing any kind of work and really moving the project forward. I remember a couple of times that I would wake up in the morning, I would do my morning routine, I would whatever. Everything would be fine, right? I'd do my cold shower, my meditation, I would eat, I would go for a walk, and I would open my laptop and I'd already not know what to do now. Like, I would already not have a clue on how to proceed anything. And then it was really hard for me to actually just gain clarity on what is the one thing I'm actually going to do now. And then let's say it was creating a content piece. For some reason, I would just be sitting at that laptop, have Notion open, and try to write something down, but nothing would come out. And there was just tremendous, a huge block, you could say, in my chest area, chest and throat, and I felt super stuck, super blocked, and like didn't move anywhere. And then this kind of made me distract myself, go into YouTube, just binge scroll on like YouTube shorts on my laptop. Just watch the most mind-numbing, over-edited, like attention retaining content, right? Like the most, like, whatever, like not Mr. Beast videos, but like I don't know, just like whatever, like Jake Paul stuff, or boxing videos, like something very aggressive and like hyper dopaminergic, super, super, how would you say, like, highly stimulating content that usually I wouldn't ever consume. Like this itself just told me I was in such a rut, and in such a stuck state. Usually, if I consume content, it's more or less consciously, right? It can happen here or there that I'm consuming something just to consume it, but even if that is the case, it's never some meaningless, irrelevant, entertaining Jake Paul content or fucking boxing videos. It's usually something like a channeling from Bashar, or it's actualize.org, or some podcasts about social wellness or other forms and stuff, but nothing like just fucking brain rotting. So this was telling me a lot. And then after these binge scrolling sessions for like 2-3 hours, right? Just getting so stuck and so lost in that rabbit hole. Being super numb, super apathetic. Just sitting there, scrolling down these videos and just looking to the screen, but just looking through it all. Was just like letting it consume me and trying to make the time pass and not having to face the uncomfortability and discomfort that I was feeling, and trying to distract myself with that. And then at times, like, just got a huge headache from watching that fucking BS content. Or I was stopping myself and like, okay, I have to cut this now because where is this leading? And I was just literally lying down on my floor here, without any mat, any blankets, just lying flat down on the floor, just looking up at the ceiling or just closing my eyes and be like, oh my God, like, I can't do anything right now. Let me just sit here and lie down here. And first of all, be away from the laptop and the content. And just be by myself and then rekindle and regroup myself. And yeah, get back into state order. Also just rest, actually, like just nap, and so on. But yeah, this is something that happened many times, which then prompted me to further investigate this. So the core question is, why does this fear exist, right? What I was getting down on at the time was that it really has a lot to do with identity. So the past identity that I had been embodying is that of a, you could say, struggling spiritual visionary. So the one who has profound, impactful visions or ideas, dreams for the world, for himself, but then struggles to actually realize them. And that was so obvious in just my surroundings, right? In the way that I was feeling, in the frustration that I kept sensing, in the blockages and the resistances, and then also obviously in the financial situation that I was living in the side jobs that I was working just to keep me afloat financially. Right? Because obviously a struggling spiritual visionary isn't the one who actually creates. He's the one that's just struggling and does nothing and procrastinates and is fearful. So I really had to shift identities. Because no struggling spiritual visionary is going to create um a physical, tangible social wellness club, or let's say the infrastructure for collective consciousness to rise. Only someone who's an embodied creator would do that, right? Someone who's taking action, someone who believes in himself. So with fear, I feel like it always comes down to a fear of not being good enough. Ultimately, on the one hand, you could say that, right? The ego's afraid of failure or not being good enough. But then also, what I feel might have some truth to too is kind of the opposite, fear of being too good. And I mean, not too good in the sense that you're better than others and that you're above them and that you're on a pedestal and stuff, but too good in the sense that you would be realizing your divine nature, right? Your true self. And the part that you're mainly guided by and controlled by and governed by, if this is your ego, your identity, your mind, would be afraid of that, right? Because your unnatural self, right? Your lower self, your mind, your ego, your identity, is inherently finite, right? It's attached to certain beliefs, certain parts of identity, and just says it's this but not that, right? It's whatever, let's say Christian but not Muslim, or it's German but not American, or it's a fan of that soccer team but not the other one, or he's whatever it might be, right? It's a consultant but not a an accountant. So it's finite, right? It's attaching itself to certain things. It says it's that but not something else. So everything that is going against the attachments or the beliefs of the identity that it has sort of clung itself to is inherently threatening to that, because all the ego actually wants is to survive, right? The body wants to survive, the ego wants to survive, but the soul wants to thrive and be liberated. So the ego is trying everything um to guarantee its survival, and survival in the sense for the ego means to stay the same and to survive the patterns of belief, identity that it has developed so thoroughly over the last couple of years. So anything that would already shift the ego's identity and beliefs from, let's say, being a consultant to an accountant, or from being someone who struggles to someone who actually is successful, is a threat to the ego, because ego has to adopt itself, and some old part of the ego has to die, and that's a process it has to go through. It's letting an old part go, and it's adopting a new part. So that on the one hand. But then obviously the other point I was making and implying to you initially is that it's not only afraid of the change that is happening, but since the ego is inherently finite and limited, right? It's afraid of realizing its, or the true infinite nature of yourself, right? The divine part within you. The godly part within you, the God within you. And by you following and pursuing your dream, right? By you doing what you actually want, by embodying your truth, by acting on your highest excitement, or by living in true alignment with your highest vision, this is the most direct path to self-realization, and to awakening, to enlightenment. And this is what the ego is afraid of. So though the soul and your higher self wants exactly that, right? It wants self-actualization, self-realization, awakening, truth, enlightenment, love, and these kinds of things. This is exactly what the ego is trying to keep you from and protect you from. Because this would mean the death of the ego. Or yeah, the I guess you could say that the death of the ego. Um, yeah, I mean, because you could also say you shouldn't, I guess, force an ego death, but you could say like it would be integrated in a certain sense. And it's not that you would have to go against your ego with force and try to kill it. It's more of an integration process, I would say. So one thing that has really helped me with that, so now sort of kind of segueing into how to solve this entire thing, is to speak. So speaking with your ego, speaking with the mind, and sort of bringing it on board already helps it, because you're the one that's in control, and not the ego, not the mind that's trying to keep you at some lower position, lower states. So telling it where you want to go and bringing it with you, and telling it also what to do for you, right? Having it be the servant and not the master. That itself would do loads for you. The other thing when it comes to dealing with this fear, there's a couple of things. So the way that I like to look at it is that you can burn the candle on both ends, right? So the candle is the fear. You can burn the candle by doing inner work, right? By doing journaling, meditation, breath work, retreats, coaching and stuff to gain clarity on these fears and dissolve them. And you can also let go of these fears by actually facing the fear head on and tackling your fear. So this could be many different ways. If it's being afraid of content or being seen, it will obviously be posting. Or many different things, right? Or talking to strangers, or just giving someone a compliment, doing some social anxiety challenges, you could say. That helps also. So yeah, many different ways of going about it. But essentially, what I'm finding is that the only way out is through. The only way out is through. There's no other real alternative to you doing the thing. All the inner work is nice and it might help you and prepare you to do the actual thing. But if you're over indexing on the inner work and the outer work isn't really happening, in a sense, since the outer work's never happening, you're just focusing on inner work. Although you have quote unquote healed or integrated much of your fears, by you never doing any outer work, the fear around doing the thing is actually going to increase. So it can backfire on you. And this is, I think, what I have been experiencing a bit with doing so much inner work and not enough outer work, that yeah, the mountain has been, or has, yeah, became a bit bigger, so to speak, because I wasn't really chipping away at it. And yeah, so if you had to do one or the other, I would say doing the outer work now, immediately, before the inner work is better, because the outer work itself is what you want. It's the behavior shift, behavior change. It's going to give you results, going to give you insight, feedback, resonance, progress. You're going to make stuff happen. You're going to have more direct engagement with life. You're going to speak with people. You're going to create stuff. And this itself also produces an effect on yourself, right? The work, you do not only work on the work, but the work also works on you. So one of the most powerful, important ways of doing inner work is actually outer work. And therefore entrepreneurship is such a great vehicle and outlet for doing that. So yeah, you can't really get around it, and I know you probably know this anyways, right? There's no real alternative to you doing the thing. What I find personally is that I know there's this straight, direct path. That's the highest truth, and I'm trying to deviate and find shortcuts or alternatives, paths that aren't as difficult as the most direct one to go down on. But there's one, not shortcut, but insight or principle you can keep in mind in order to know which path to go down on, and it's to do the thing that's emotionally most challenging or difficult. And that's usually also the path that is the one of your highest timeline, right? Or the most direct embodiment of your truth. Paradoxically, the easy path is usually eventually the hard path, and the hard path becomes the easy path. Because me trying to look for easy paths now, left and right, eventually become hard, because I'm never fully satisfied, fulfilled, nor am I creating any sort of relevant and meaningful impact and resources for myself. So it's what all the gym bros and e-com entrepreneurs and whatever people have already said. It's do the hard thing, just do it. And I feel like that's actually a very beautiful, grounded principle or application of this whole spiritual talk and spirituality itself. Spirituality for me isn't necessarily escaping or transcending into higher dimensions of life, although yes, that's a part of it. But I would say in this current phase, especially, spirituality is about developing the inner strength, the inner courage to face life fully and to embody my truth fully, and to sort of dive headfirst into life. This is a nice metaphor that I heard, that I like. In this current phase, spirituality is about doing the thing, right? Right now it's about building, about creation, and in some years it might be about transcendence and about astral planes and realms and speaking with aliens, whatever. But right now it's mastering the 3D, mastering the physical, tangible reality. Because if this isn't handled and mastered and taken care of, can't really see how any energetic 4 or 5 whatever D planes could be tapped into, right? If the physical foundation isn't really set or built, then expanding beyond that becomes difficult and challenging. So I'm leaving you with this. Do what's emotionally most challenging. You know what you want to, what you need to do. There's no way around that. Even if you are trying all the other seemingly easier paths left and right, eventually at some point you will be left with the one direct path, because everything else has been explored and ventured into, and you've realized that this doesn't work. There's only one thing that works, and it couldn't be any other way. It's just that you've probably been too afraid of doing it yet. Which is fine, right? We all are to some extent. But I'm hoping that this video is guiding you more towards the direct path, the path of your heart, the path that deeply aligns with what you want to do, and with what you're here to do. And just because there's fear doesn't mean that it would be wrong. My sister told me this last week. If you're looking for reasons to not do it, do it. And if you're looking for reasons to do it, not do it. Don't do it. So with this one clear path, you're probably looking for tons of reasons to not do it. But this can be an indication that you should do it. And the fact that you're experiencing fear and blockages and resistances might actually be pointing you towards this direction, right? And it's kind of like, yeah, it's the whole point, right? It's the point of you coming here and living this life is to feel fear, and then transcend it into love, and move from fear to love. And this can't really be done by going down the easy roads that aren't full of fear, right? And it's just mediocrity, it's just apathy, it's just meaninglessness. It's hollow, it's shallow, it's superficial, it's not the real thing. So going with fear is, if you know that on the other side of fear, that way you want to be, is where this path will lead you, then this is a sign that this is the right path for you to go down on. Maybe lastly, you can ask for help. I'm currently listening to the audiobook of Angels in My Hair, which was recommended by a good friend of mine, and it's the story of a woman who's seeing angels and is in direct communication with angels. And she says we all have guardian angels. There's tons of angels. We can always ask for help, are always surrounding us. And this is something I've been doing the last 2-3 days actually, and I feel like it's a beautiful thing to not think that it's all just me, it's all by myself, I'm carrying all the weight of the world, but I'm sort of co-creating with the universe. I'm co-creating with spirits, angels, other supportive entities. And I'm guided, I'm protected. And by me asking or speaking with them, which is something I have to do, right? I can't just do my thing and then not ask, because what I've heard is that you kind of need to ask and also actually get an answer or be supported. So ask God, ask angels, ask whoever you want to ask, the world, the universe, whatever, your higher self, for guidance, for support, for answers. And I'm sure they will be given to you, and you don't have to do this all alone. Life wants the best for you, the universe wants the best for you, God wants the best for you, everyone wants the best for you. And there's nothing wrong that can happen to you. Hurl yourself into the abyss, of your deepest fears, and you'll discover it's a feather bed. One of my favorite quotes by Terence McKenna. So much love to you. I deeply believe in you. You got this. Go out there and live your highest truth.